Hello and welcome to The Curators, episode 104, the weekly podcast and YouTube series where I discussed appealing game-related crowd-funded projects from the Gamerati curated Kickstarter page. I'm Marcelo, and our show is transmitted as a podcast that you can find just looking for The Curators on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or Stitcher. A video version of our episodes are at youtube.com/Gamerati. I'll kick off episode 104 with a war game. It's called 303 Squadron. I think it's pronounced 303 Squadron. If anybody knows how to pronounce numbers in squadrons, please correct me on the comments. Okay, so 303 Squadron, a cooperative board game about the top-scoring fighter squadron during the Battle of Britain in World War II. It's being developed by Hobbity, Hobbity, a studio from Poland. I think it's Hobbity, maybe? It's their first Kickstarter, but they have plenty of experience making board games to other companies such as Eagle Griffin Games, What's Your Games, Asynchron. So let's say that this is their first foray on their own with a game for the international hobbyists. If you go to their official website, although it's in Polish, you can see that they have a lot of board games under their belt. Also, Aris Games is listed as a collaborator on the Kickstarter project for 303 Squadron. So maybe that means they have a distribution deal after the Kickstarter is hopefully successful? I don't know. I'm just guessing. Okay, so let's talk about the game. 303 Squadron is an intense, fast-paced board game that will push you and your plane to the limits. It's for 1 to 4 players, so you can play it cooperatively or in a solo mode. The game is inspired by true events. The players take on the role of legendary pilots of the 303rd Squadron, piloting Hawker Hurricanes for the RAF, the Royal Air Force, to experience epic dogfights against the Luftwaffe, and most of all, to create unforgettable stories. So it's up to you how you are going to face the enemy. You can fight in a formation or engage in individual raids. Every different move has its consequences because everybody's moving all the time and shots are fired at the same time. The game is played with miniature model planes on a map of the English Channel that features Southern English and a bit of Europe that's on the other side of the channel. Let me open a parenthesis here. Until I researched this game, I didn't know that it was called the English Channel in English. Here in Brazil, our maps name that stretch of water with the French name La Manche. Close parenthesis. Okay, so you have your squadron and you choose a mission. The mission will determine how many adversaries you face in the skies over England and the English Channel, their strategy, the stakes. You start your turn by taking off, and then you have cards with movements and other actions. You want to move faster or slower, you use cards with more or fewer movement symbols. Anyhow, you will move one sector for free every round, because you're flying after all. There are discrete symbols on the top edge of the cards, and the cards themselves are beautifully illustrated with your planes and the maneuvers you can make. Your hands change all the time after each round, because after each round ends and you discard the cards you used, you draw 2 cards and keep 1. So your maneuvers change all the time. Every round also has surprises for the players. You draw event cards and add different objectives, reveal other objectives of the enemies, suddenly add enemy fighters or bombers that weren't known at the beginning of the scenario, and establish routes for enemy planes, all sorts of things that will make every match of the 303 Squadron unique, intense, and creative. So you never play the same mission twice exactly. In combat, you choose a card with an ability check the toughness of the adversary you're shooting at and roll dice. You always roll a set of blue dice that corresponds to your actions and a set of black dice that says what the enemies did while you were facing each other in that round. After all, in a dogfight, everybody's shooting at the same time, as I said. And the dice in the game don't have regular numbers, but symbols that tell you what you did. What you hit, how much you hit, how well you did. A crosshair symbol, for example, says you did damage straight up, while other symbols say that an enemy loses actions in the next round, or you took damage too, and so forth. Then you can use cards to alter the results of the dice roll slightly, like increasing damage or minimizing deleterious effects against you. Of course, there's more to the game than just that, than just what I described. I want you to get an idea of the game. They have a how to play featuring the first 2 rounds of a match in the Kickstarter page, in case you're curious, and a complete, more in-depth series of how to play on the website 303squadron.eu. And what do you get in this box? You get 5 Hawker Hurricane planes, 7 Heikel HE-11, which are from the Luftwaffe, 4 Messerschmitt Bf 110, 16 Messerschmitt Bf 109. The 110 are the bombers, the 109 are the fighters. You also get an enormous map, 100 centimeters wide. You also get scenario cards, 4 player boards, mission cards, and the pilot cards. Each pilot is a real person, is a true hero that actually fought over the air on the English Channel. So they have a snippet of their lives, what they did before, what they did after being a fighter pilot, and some characteristics typical of, like, every character that you choose, it's slightly different than the other ones. Right now, the art for the fighters are sepia, but with a stretch goal, you can get colored illustrations for the fighters. You also get 51 combat cards, 21 setup cards, the help cards, the dice. You have blue dice, red dice, black dice, white dice, and 1 yellow die. You get more than 40 cardboard tokens that are used throughout the map, and the rules book and a compendium. Here we have an example of some of the pilots with their art and a snippet of their lives. This is a very specific kind of nerd that I used to be when I was a teenager. I used to assemble glue and paint model fighter planes. So this is incredibly familiar to me. The Hawker Hurricane, and the opponents are the Messerschmitt Bf-09, the Messerschmitt Bf 110, and the Heikel HE-111. We get some interesting stretch goals here. The game is already funded, so a spot UV coating on the box cover is already unlocked. It's going to be a Kickstarter exclusive. Then they are about to unlock 10 new terrain damage cards. And then there's a lot of stretch goals that are tied to social media coverage, like with 3,703 likes on Facebook, we get fully colored pilot cards. With 903 likes on Facebook, acrylic turn token, I think that was released already. 103 likes on Facebook, a new combat card was unlocked. And this is another thing interesting about this project. The game is being made by a Polish company, but the game is going to be released in English. But with at least 150 people of the same country, actually the same language, they will produce the game in that language. So during the pledge manager phase, after the game is completed, the game is successfully funded, there's going to be a place where you choose what's your preferred language. With 150 or more of any language, they will produce the game in that language. So although I don't know the population of people that participate on the Kickstarter, Anyhow, let's take a look at the pledge levels. So with $10, you just participate on the following of the project without getting anything. You, as they say here, you support pilots and help them soar into space. With $79 US, you get the core box, including all stretch goals. It doesn't include shipping. Shipping will be charged when they know how much it's going to be through Pledge Manager after the Kickstarter ends. And there's another option for $150, so you can get 2 core boxes plus twice the amount of all the stretch goals, so every stretch goal duplicated. With $110 US, it's 3 boxes with 3 times the amount of stretch goals. With 260, it's 4 boxes, 4 amount of stretch goals. 540, it's 9 boxes and 9 times all the stretch goals. This is probably for retailers, although they don't say that explicitly. Let's take a look at what they have about shipping here. Oh, there's the rule book you can download to read, or you can go to their website and see the how to plays. There's also a bunch of previews here of many different YouTube channels that you pick the one you prefer to see. Here, shipping. This project is US, EU, Canada, and Australia friendly, plus VAT free in Asia. This means that backers from these regions will not face any import taxes. Please remember, shipping is estimated and we are expecting the final price will be lower. So what do we have here? It's expected that shipping to domestic, to lower 48 states in the United States be $25 US. Europe could be between 20 and 25 depending on the country. Poland is only $5, obviously. Canada 30, Australia 35, New Zealand 45. Asia could be between 20 and 70. $70 is only Indonesia. The other countries is 20 or 35. Rest of the world, it's me. They are asking to contact them to see how much it's gonna cost. It's gonna be $70. It's for sure. But at least they're just charging the pledge amount here, which for me is $79. And when the game is ready to be shipped, in a year from now, it's estimated delivery is November 2020. They have to make the game after all. All right, now we're going to completely change gears as I talk about Hexerei, the Three Witches of Würzburg. Würzburg? Is that how you pronounce it?
Würzburg.
Würzburg. Hexerei is a one-player versus many board game. It's being made by Francesco Lanza. He's from Trieste, Italy. It involves combat and cooperative maneuvering and draws its players into the turmoil of a blood-spattered witch hunt in a dark and grim version of a war-torn 17th century Germany. I mean, if we studied the witch hunts in medieval Europe, you know it was not a walk in the park. But here, Francesco Lanza really turned up the darkness, anyhow, because in the world of the game, monsters and diabolical forces are real and wish to bring about the apocalypse. These witches are not poor souls framed by their evil-minded neighbors, as what happens in reality. But in this game, they are preternatural monsters. They fight back, or even better, they fight first. I was mostly attracted to this game because it's brooding, it's dark, it has a heavy atmosphere. I might be a masochist for saying that, I don't know. But I love games that make me uncomfortable. It's like Letters from Whitechapel. If I play as Jack the Ripper on that game, I have to shower afterwards because I did horrible things. In here, though, I probably would exclusively play as the witches, and to hell with the witch hunters. All the 4 witch hunters that in the base game are male, and the 3 witches are female, so I would prefer to play the female. Anyhow, a little more about how the game works. Up to 4 players will play as hunters tasked with finding and slaying the 3 witches of Würzburg. before the opposing player, who leads the coven and tries to complete a ritual. The coven is not a game master, because the witches and the player that plays with the coven plays to win. The ritual takes 8 turns to complete, and at the beginning of each turn, the coven player drops a new tile on the ritual panel, which is a 9x9 token panel that the coven player has to complete in order for them to win the game. So on the beginning of the 9th round, they complete and they win, so that's why 8 rounds. These grant the coven player even more power, each one of those. If at the end of the 8th turn, the hunters have not found and slain the 3 witches, the coven players win. I'm repeating myself. And hell swallows the Holy Roman Empire. Okay, so each witch hunter has a small mat where they have all their stats, such as movement points, level of health, actions, tactics, etc. They are distinct, and choosing each one and choosing to play with one or the other makes the experience, makes it a different game. And I am imagining that you could easily give 2 witch hunters to 2 experienced players each, or only one player play with the 4 characters. But there is an add-on for a 1 versus 1, which has some slightly different rules. During the game, the hunters will interrogate, quote-unquote, interrogate people taken from a card deck to get information represented by tiles that exist in the gaming board. So there's a map board where the witches and monster miniatures roam and the hunters walk, so the tiles that you discover by interrogating people are flipped, and now you know what's there. The hunters explore these areas to find about the witches, and using their powers, the coven player can summon monsters. These creatures are inspired by the darkest German myths, so expect some pretty gruesome art in their cards and miniatures. These fight against the hunters, so there's combat in the game, obviously. You use a set of specially marked dice to see who succeeds by how much, and if there's collateral from a fight with a creature. Since the supernatural monsters are usually more powerful than the hunters, resource pooling and combined strategies are essential for their survival. Besides rolling the dice, the hunter players also can access a bunch of different card decks with equipment, with maneuvers, etc. And not everything is this joy for the coven player, unfortunately, as each creature in the deck can be summoned only once. What do we get in the box? We get... Oh, the miniatures. The human-sized miniatures are 32 millimeters, and the larger miniatures are 60 millimeters. Highly detailed. They're going to be made in resin, and I believe it's going to be tempting to paint them. All right, what do we get here? We get 4 hunter models, each one with a name, 3 witch models, each one with a name, 10 creature models, each one unique, 4 hunter sheets, 11 coven sheets, the game board, the rule book, 100 regular cards, 86 smaller cards, just like Fantasy Flight Games does, the regular size cards and the smaller cards, 20 custom dice, 1 ritual board, 1 treasury board, more than 150 tokens, and 1 fabric bag, probably to randomly take up the tokens. And all the creatures here, the miniatures, you can see them in the Kickstarter page. They're terribly beautiful. And the stretch goals add some cool stuff here. The first stretch goal is a pack for 1 versus 1, in which you use a modular base. You put 3 hunters at the same time. It adds another hunter model with their sheet and cards for him. That's what else? Then there's a penitent sister model, which is the first female hunter here on the second stretch goal. And then another hunter, Melclair. Interesting. Guy has 2 knives. Then there's the Desolation pack, which comes with more miniatures and a slightly different mission, and it goes on. There's also a German pack. All the game components and the physical rulebook will be translated in German if they reach 105,000 euros. More characters. So the game will get heftier and heftier the more they get. It goes all the way to the 50th of December. So as I record this, 14 days to go. They have more than 200 backers, but they still need about 40,000. Is this euros or dollars? Dollars. Or 50. Their goal is $55,000. They are euros, and they are already at 15,000 euros. But they're 14 days to go, and I want them to succeed. This game looks amazing. So the pledge levels for 12 euros, which is about $14 US, you get the digital art book, a digital PDF that brings together all the Hexerei artworks enriched with a detailed story for each character and a description of the folklore that inspired this creation. For 30 euros, you get the art book, the printed art book, and then the game comes at 85 euros. So for 85 euros, which is about $95 US, you get the core box, including all unlocked stretch goals. Then for 90 euros, you get the core box plus digital art book. For 100 euros, you get the core box and the physical art book. For 459 euros, which is $509, you get 6 copies. This is for retailers. 6 copies of the core box with a 10% discount, including 6 times all unlocked stretch goals, and 2 high-quality large posters, 600 centimeters by 400 millimeters. Sorry, not centimeters, millimeters. All right, so that's Hexerei, the Three Witches of Würzburg. I didn't say how long the 303 Squadron board game goes. For how long? It goes all the way to the 21st of December. They have 15 days to go. They need $70,000 US. They are at 23,000 US with 323 backers. Let's go, people. Let's make these games a reality. I think I'll be bringing more games that need more pledges than all those slam dunk games that sometime I bring. Of course, they need all the help they can get, but these games here maybe need more. I don't know. I usually choose a game that I am excited about, and only as I'm recording this, I see how much they need, how much they have, how many backers. I don't look at it. Shut up, Siri. I think it's time to finish. Okay, wrapping up another episode of The Curators, a podcast and YouTube series about tabletop games and game-related stuff that you might want to know are up on Kickstarter. You can find our curated page, the only one exclusively about tabletop games, at kickstarter.com/gamerati. You can also email us at thecurators@gamerati.com. Tell me if you like the projects I recommended today and if you're backing any of them. I'd be glad to know. The show notes for this episode and all our episodes are at thecurators.gamerati.com. You can also find The Curators in podcast form on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. And there's also a video version of this episode at youtube.com/gamerati. And that's it for me. Catch you up next week.